Okay, Janine, welcome to the Buzz Chat this week. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, Caroline. Thanks.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to, Denise said, "Oh, this time I'm going to take the day off, let you guys do it." And I see in the background that you have some bunnies up there. Is that what you did in class this week?
Well, we've been celebrating spring and Easter in class this week. And so we did a lot of the vocabulary around that. And our project this week was drawing Easter bunnies.
I
And
love
so
that.
we had fun with that. Yeah, the kids really enjoyed it.
And
Yeah.
Passover started yesterday, so anybody who's celebrating Passover, happy Passover to you. But I got a question for you, Janine. So anybody who is familiar with us knows that Janine is our super duper expert in teaching English as a second language to young learners. And someone asked me today, like, if you want to help your child learn English at home, like, what can we tell some of our parents to do at home for, like, I don't know, vocabulary or getting, reinforcing what they're doing in class?
Okay. Well, number one thing is you can play music in English. So kids love to listen to music and they learn English or any language at all through English very well. So even the songs, we send out our digital lessons now. And so all the links to all the songs are there. You can have the kids listen to the songs again, or any other music in English is fun. Any oldies but goodies that are in our arsenal that they know of, super simple songs, does a really
For
good
simple
job.
songs. Yeah. I remember
Number
when
one.
when we were
Mhm.
teaching kids, I remember years ago when the parents would come in, they'd be like, I can't believe that my kid wants to sweep the floor because they're doing the clean up, everybody, let's clean up, right? So
Yeah.
for us, a lot of the language production that comes out is often from those songs, isn't it? So
Yeah,
the first
so
thing people say.
definitely the music. And then I also have been putting in the lessons something called Everyday English. I don't know if the parents noticed, but I put in because I think that parents can reinforce the language or the vocabulary from the week's lessons just by talking to their kids when they see the opportunity about it. For instance, we did transportation or places around the town, and I wrote in the section Everyday English, when you're out and about with your kids, talk to them. What kind of transportation do you see?
Mhm.
And remind them of the English words. And so I think that just using vocabulary and context, even if it's just one or two words, not full sentences, is okay, but it's definite reinforcement. So using language in context when it's appropriate. When you go to do the grocery shopping, write the list together in English. Do
Oh,
we
that's a
need
good idea.
apples, bananas? What else do we need? And so simple things like that, depending on the level of the child.
Now, some parents feel nervous about using English because they think since they're not native speakers that they shouldn't be doing that. I don't agree, but what do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's fine because not only I mean obviously the level of English is very basic for the children, so I think that anyone could you could learn along with your child. But secondly, if your child knows that you're a language learner too, yes, I think that that's a really good you can be a really good role model in that sense to show them how you want to learn English too, or you're using it when you can. Because then English becomes, or any language that you're trying to teach at home, has value. You bring value to the language
Yeah.
and you sit and they'll see it as a positive thing to do.
I think sometimes parents think, and it's a myth. I think a lot of people think that you are going to get the accent of your teacher, and so they're very worried about, especially when they don't have, like at school, maybe a teacher who's a native speaker. And I'm always telling people that, believe me, you're not going to. Even my daughter doesn't have my accent. If she has an American accent now, it's because of lots of other things. It's taken years to develop, but it's not just me. It's also um, other places. She doesn't have the same accent
Yeah.
as me, though. She has an American
Or
accent, but
people
it's different
worry
from mine.
Or they worry they're not perfect. They
Mhm.
worry they'll make a mistake, but you don't have to worry about that. There's enough for them to later on, they won't learn your mistakes. I don't think, unless that was the only input ever, then they might learn your mistake, but it's not their only source of English because they've
Right.
got it from their English teacher at school, they've got their English teacher from us and maybe TV programs and so on. Cartoons are also a great way for kids to absorb and listen to English. We all know that we have to get our ear used to listening to a language, and cartoons are very captivating for kids.
I think now that you can actually change the language on, a lot of people have things like Netflix and Prime and things where you can actually choose the language, but that we didn't have that when we were younger. So I think what a great opportunity for kids now to be able to choose the language.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I do like, and I've been pushing more in the classes, this idea of actually even writing the language. So going back to that list to go to the grocery store to buy food, if you have an older learner, someone who's proficient in writing, if you encourage them to write the words themselves, this is another way to get a word to stick in your mind, right? Even if they're misspelling it, it's still the act of writing the word will be really helpful. So don't shy away from something that's not perfect. Even if it's not perfect, it's okay.
Right.
I think that we see that with a lot of learners, don't we, Karoline? Small and big. They don't want to even try because they're worried they're going to make a mistake.
Yeah, especially with our adult learners, that's one of the biggest obstacles we have is this perfectionism, or maybe they've just been traumatized at school. Because, it's interesting because lately I've been doing a lot of research on second language acquisition, and
Mhm.
the more I read, the more encouraged I am at our own program, how many things we're doing right. For
Yeah.
example, I mean, we know it because we're language learners, we're language teachers, so we kind of know from what works and what doesn't work. But what keeps coming up again and again is that the key to improving our vocabulary, but also even getting the grammar down, is not studying grammar, it's actually reading. And so I'm just so happy that we've always made that a big part of our program, is just getting people to read. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting that I've read lately is that writing doesn't make you you write the way you read. So the more you read, the better your style will be, the better your vocabulary is. But what the research says is that writing makes you smarter, makes you more intelligent, because when you write something out, and this is both for adults and for younger learners, but I think it's fascinating, and when you think about it, it makes sense, right? When you're writing something down, you're also able to solve problems better, and because you're going to see things that you didn't consider before. And so it's that process actually increases intelligence. So
All right.
writing down that list, don't worry about being perfect, because remember the perfection part, not that we ever need to be perfect as far as I'm concerned, but it's also true that writers, professional writers never get it right the first time. They're always going back and revising. So when we're doing like the writing that we do with our adults, like a lot of free writing, what we're doing is we're getting our ideas out. Then if you want to make it into a polished piece of writing, go back, but don't waste your time at the beginning trying to be perfect, because then you won't write anything, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Go
for
back to it.
sure. Yeah. I remember, I mean, we both have journeys as language learners, and I remember part of my language learning journey with Spanish in particular was a lot of writing. We
Mhm.
had a interactive journal with our professor, which I really enjoyed because every time I came in, I knew that the first 15 minutes of class, what I had to do was just write in Spanish. And yeah, and I just kind of write like I would speak. So yeah, 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 that was
Yeah. Do you
fun.
still keep a journal? Do you write in a diary?
In what language?
Well, in any language, I think it's, are you a writer? I mean, do you do that?
Yes, yes, yes.
I usually
Yeah.
write in my language, but I do believe in writing in any language you feel like, in any language you want to think in. If you want to think, in fact, if I need to think in French, I'll write in French first. If I need to think in Italian
Mhm.
or do some kind of presentation, I might spend some time, just sitting there with my journal and writing in that language. Do you do stuff like that too?
Yeah, no, writing in a journal is really helpful because yeah, the thoughts just, you get it out on paper and it kind of ends up organizing itself.
Things
I
make
find.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
I
for
have to remember
sure.
things better. If I don't write it, it doesn't get done. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
I read something the other day about this idea of typing versus writing
Mm.
physically, and that there is, and I always knew this, because I've experienced it, but the physical writing with a pen and the act of writing something down will help you remember it better. And
Absolutely.
so you say, I mean, I understand we're all trying to go digital and we're trying to like not use paper and everything, but it just doesn't stick the way when you physically write it out.
Right.
So when I really, yeah, I stick to the writing.
Yeah, I think, as far as paper, what I try to do is I try to use other people's journals that they're going to throw away. Like I've got an agenda here from 2020 that someone else isn't using. So I am writing in this
Exactly.
because it is important to write with your hand. Maya Angelou said that when you write with your hand, it's a direct line from your pen to your heart, from your heart to your pen.
Ah,
And it's
okay.
different than, I think, type. I love to type. I type so fast that smoke comes from my fingers,
Mhm.
but it's a different kind of writing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
So,
know so
yeah,
what are you
so,
reading right now, Ginny? I'm just curious.
oh goodness.
I know you usually have a couple books going at once, but you and I talk about these things. Tell me what you're reading.
Well, I just finished reading the book, The One Thing.
Tell me about it.
And okay, The One Thing is a book about goal setting. And the premise is that in order to make extraordinary goals come true, you really have to narrow it down to just one thing. But you have to figure out what the one thing is. This is it's like a domino effect. You have to think about the if you have a goal, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years out, you have to think about the one thing today that you can do to make things easier to arrive at that goal.
Hmm.
And by doing so, then you continue the next day and the next day, and it should be kind of like a domino effect. It'll
Nice.
make your path towards the goal easier. So
Nice.
it's really hard coming up with one thing.
Hmm.
Because we
Yeah.
all have like 10 things we need to do every day. So that's
Right.
been the challenge.
So you kind of focus on that one thing. You do your other stuff, but that's going to be a thing that you're like
Right.
super focused on.
Right. And of course, I mean, like many goal setting books, they say, the fluff, put it in the afternoon, answering emails, calling back people, meetings with team members, put all those kind of fluff activities in the near the end of the day and use the early mornings where your brain is really has a lot more power to do your one thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it's been kind of like trying to schedule that in. How about you? What are you
I'm
reading?
reading, I've got three things going at once. I'm like, because I'm so, scattered all the time. I've got the book by my bed. I've got the book. So I've got the books I read for work, so I've got a Paris Review here, which for Christmas I asked for a subscription. And so the first one came and I'm like, oh, I started reading it. I'm like, wow, it's like giving my vocabulary like a breath of fresh air. It's like finally some high level reading for me. Otherwise, I'm reading uh, A Boy's Own Life by Edmund White. And I'm also reading at the
Mhm.
same time his autobiography. So he's a guy that I had studied a little bit in graduate school. And wow, there's a reason that these people are studied, because just amazing, amazing writing, just beautiful,
Is it a
just
fiction?
beautiful.
Is it a nonfiction? What
Well,
is it
he does
about?
autobiographical fiction. So A Boy's Own Life, which is really become like a classic in, I guess, queer theory, you could call it, because it's a young boy who is it's a young gay boy, and he's kind of telling his story,
Mhm.
his first experiences with his family. He's growing up in the 1950s in like Minnesota in
Mm.
America. So it's just this, but it's just so beautifully written. It's just amazing. And Edmund White was also a literary theorist. He's still alive. He wrote a book about Jean Genet, the French literary critic, and so it's just, I'd read that book before. So it's funny now because I'm going back to stuff I studied, when I was at school, but I'm reading it with a totally different approach, because I'm reading it for fun. I've got no deadlines. Nobody's, I'm
Yeah,
not stressed the way I was in. So it's like reading now. It's like, I guess it is when you don't have to do things. It just becomes so delightful. So I'm reading that. So I'm just really enjoying reading fiction again. I think I do like. I'm also reading one about designing your life. I'm always doing those kind of
yeah.
design theory I'm on right now. for like product design, but applying that to your life. And I love that stuff, but I'm also like just really enjoying just fiction and just, because I like to write too. So I'm just really enjoying how other people express themselves. So
Yeah,
that's,
if there were only more time in the day to read.
yeah, there's always time. I always find time. I got one with me in my pocket, one next to my bed, because even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, I realize you can really get through books really fast. Even if you just have a few minutes a day, got to read,
Yeah, yeah.
And luckily, when I go to the association, we're so full of books over there, even though I can't wait till the
So
libraries open up again, though, because geez.
exactly. Well, I was thinking, and now that you're saying that, it would be great that, we're starting that teachers course in April. We should
Right.
encourage our teachers to pick up a book and read it through the duration of our course.
It's a great
I don't
idea.
know if it could be, I don't know if they all have to read the same book or they could just pick
Oh,
one that they really like, but it might be a nice exercise. Just have them,
great idea.
your homework is whatever, plus, make sure you've read, in this week, at least an hour in your book or
Oh,
something.
that's
I
a
don't
great
know.
idea. Why don't you can you tell us about the course that we're teaching together?
Yes.
Because
Well,
there might be someone who doesn't know about it who should be signing up for it. So tell them.
yeah. Well, that the American corner, the embassy in Rome has sponsored um, courses for English language courses for the teachers in Italy. And so the course is free. And you just have to sign up for a TESOL membership, Teachers of English for speakers of other languages, a TESOL membership, which is €30. And then you have access to this free course, which is 30 hours of teaching in English by you and I. And then there'll be 6 extra hours, 3 2-hour I don't know, workshops on American culture, which our course is really American culture based as well. But there'll be 6 additional. So it's actually 36 hours in total for the teachers if they sign up, and it's free for them except for the TESOL membership, which
Right.
I think is a deal. Plus, they can use their carta docente to sign up to be in a professional organization like TESOL.
Yeah,
TESOL,
which is we go to the
Italy.
conference every year. This year we did it from home, but I presented
Yeah,
this year
yeah.
from home. But I think it's so nice to be able to, I think our course is special because it allows also teachers, we're always teaching students, but we don't get a lot of time to speak with adults, I think, in English. And I think that for teachers, I think that'll be really fun, is being able to talk about some of the cultural things about America, the stuff that we know about and can point out, but being able to speak with other adults about it. I think it's going to be awesome. I
And
can't wait.
we'll make sure we get some really good readings in there too. Readings
Absolutely.
and high level speaking for them so they can really practice their English skills and
Yeah,
maybe bring something back to their classroom. So
right.
I'm excited about that course and it beginning after Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And I'm so happy that it was sponsored by the
Yeah.
US Embassy.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Um,
fun. Plus, you and I haven't taught together in a while, so this is gonna be fun. I don't know
no,
when did we teach together last time?
I can't. Yeah, I don't
Probably 10
remember.
years ago, probably when I was pregnant with Ava and I had to leave, and then I gave you all the hours, right? Because I think
I
you and I taught
remember the
separately.
Big Valley. Yeah,
Right. And then we taught
yeah.
together many years ago. I think you and I, didn't we teach together like out in Monfalcone at one of the
Ah,
schools there? We did
yes.
like culture
Yeah.
program. So culture programs, maybe that's the stuff we've
Oh
done
my
together.
gosh. I found something the other day and it was a
Hmm.
crown. And it was a crown that you had photocopied that when we did the cult, we did
The prom.
proms,
We did
the
prom.
prom lesson, and we made those crowns for the king and queen of the prom.
Oh,
That
that's
was out in
great.
Monfalcone.
Yeah, do
Yeah. That
you
was
know
fun.
that lesson that we based it on the American prom, right? The big dance at the end of the
Hmm.
school year for, when you're usually for the older kids that are getting ready to go off to university. Do you know, and we used the documentary on the world's best prom, which was filmed in my city in Racine, Wisconsin. Do you know that one of the filmmakers was my guest in class this week, and next week he's going to be on the buzz with us. His
Oh,
name is Ian.
okay. Ian. Hmm.
Ian Rosenberg. He just wrote an amazing book on the It's called The Fight for Free Speech. And it's this really cool book. He's a lawyer for ABC News. So he's like their lawyer, one of them. But anyway, he wrote this story with the different aspects of free speech by telling a story. First, he tells a story like from now, talks about why we have that right, and then comes back to it. It's really well written. I just ordered it, but in the meantime, I found a couple chapters online. I read those. And anyway, he came to our class. It was
So he's a
interesting.
filmmaker and a lawyer and a writer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Talk
darn.
about
Yeah.
focusing on one thing, right? It's
Yeah.
like, how do these people
No,
do it? He's
I
amazing.
remember that film. Yeah.
Yeah. He's made
Racine.
6 or 7 films, I think, since then. He's
Wow.
really incredible. And so anyway, he's going to be our guest next week. I asked him if he wanted to come today. He's like, "Are you kidding? It's Passover. How about if we go on your?" So we're gonna actually do our conversation on Easter. He said.
Okay.
But he said, "Oh, this will be like the old days." He's like, "Remember when I used to come to your house and dye eggs?" Because he was Jewish, so I would, Passover his house,
And
dyeing eggs my house.
Easter at your house. Yeah.
Funny. So the thing,
Yeah.
he's like, "I really enjoyed that. I really liked dyeing the eggs." I'm like, "Yeah,
Well, that's
it's kind
sweet.
of fun. Something I don't do anymore." Anyway, what else is going on this week? Anything that we need to know? Oh, this week we don't have class, right, Janine? Because we finished our 10 lessons. Now,
That's right.
for anybody who needs to sign up, this is the week to do it, because the next week we start again,
We
right?
start in on the 7th, which I believe is a Wednesday. Yeah. Let's see here. April 7th is a Wednesday, and we start classes. And yeah.
How's
So
it going with your adults? I know you're teaching adults this time and online. How's that going?
Oh, the group is great. We meet on Monday mornings, and we rarely have an absence, and they're so gung ho to share their stories and learn new things. They're really appreciating the lessons you put together about culture, so they're really interested in that.
Yeah, I think, the other thing about the Steve Krashen, the guy that I've been reading a lot about second language acquisition, one of the things he says is the best thing that could have happened to language teachers was going online, because we're not allowed to do any of the boring stuff we did when we were in class. Although I don't think we were ever boring, but for a lot of us, we had to really change our approach. And I think that our adults are a great example of like how you really can have a good experience online. So I'm really happy about that.
In addition, you know what I think the online lesson has given our students? Access to the lesson before and after the actual in-person lesson.
Right.
And I found that many students really appreciate that and they read it beforehand, they read it afterwards. And so I feel like we're giving them a better experience this way.
And some of our students are binge studiers. Like they don't look at it before the class, but maybe during the class, this is kind of interesting. And then they'll take, I'm going to look at those other ones I didn't look at. So they'll look at them all at once and watch all the videos or do whatever. So it's kind of fun. You can approach it however you want. And
I've had moms tell me, because we do offer also individual lessons for young learners, and I've been teaching a few of those, and I've had parents tell me, I said, make sure you look at the rest of the lesson and do the whole lesson, because we can only do so much in the allotted time. And she says, oh no, Janine, my daughter won't let me get away with not doing everything in the lesson. And so, and so she makes me listen to the songs in the book several times during the week. Think about that.
That's amazing.
Or when we were in class together, they got it there and that was great. And they'd go home and they sing it. And the parents were like, I don't know what this song is. But now they have access and can listen to it multiple times if they want to. And they're asking for it.
Isn't that funny? So, we did it really at the beginning. We started sending out the lessons or creating them and sending them like as a PDF, just because we were worried about, technology. Like if someone doesn't have a good enough connection, or they get cut off, because it was happening to all of us at the beginning, including myself. I was getting kicked out of my own classes. But in the end, we just kept doing it just because we found that people were giving us good feedback, that they liked having something they could look at. They liked being able to go over it beforehand and, dive a little bit deeper afterwards. So I think that was one of the innovations, I think, that, thanks to this strange situation, this whole pandemic thing, but it's really forced us to kind of up our game a little bit. So I'm, feeling
Yeah.
pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is good feedback from the parents.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I guess it's time to finish our chat for today, but thanks for taking the time out, Janine. And I hope you have a really nice break,
Oh, thanks. You
and
too.
we'll see you after the 7th again. Okay.
Yes, for
So
sure.
take care. I'll see you later.
All right. Bye, Caroline. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.